All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I have a treat for you. So today, we're gonna be interviewing my friend Tim. And Tim is a really rich person. I actually met him at one of our favorite nightclubs here in Miami, and we were going bottle for bottle, and then I looked over, I'm like, who is this kid? And then we start talking, he's like, I sell info. I'm like, I sell info too. And then he's like, nah, little bro, like he little broke me for sure. But we're gonna go over to his crib, we're gonna get a little tour. It's gonna be sick. Come on, we're gonna go right now, hop in the 2004 Honda Civic and get over to Tim's crib. All right, type shit here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting in the supercar here. Imagine the fucking alarm goes off.
But the man, but the girl, but the six side, but the six side, but the six side. Hey.
If your girl is at any season opener basketball game, she just likes basketball. Why do you think, oh, she's sleeping with somebody on the... No, she's not. No, she just likes basketball. It's not her fault. She just likes the, oh, like it's so cool to see the ball go in a hoop. Like, what's wrong with that? Like,
what if she got floor seats?
Then she's good at connecting with people. She's a good networker. Or she's rich. Maybe she's on OnlyFans. But I don't know why everybody just assumes that women are so evil.
Gotta lay down when you make bed. Gotta let some tears just shed. Since we blew up and got green, I gotta leave some of y'all on red.
See here on his front porch, he has kinda classy, kinda hood. And I don't think there could be a better representation of Tim. You're about to meet him. He's kinda classy, he's kinda hood, very demure, very mindful. Brother.
Welcome, boys.
How you doing?
How we doing? How we doing?
Good.
Come on in. Come on in.
Oh shit.
Wow, you guys got the storm.
I know, bro.
It was fine like an hour ago. Welcome to Miami.
This is what I see on every girl's Snapchat story or Instagram story. It's crazy.
This
I always
is, bro,
see that.
this is the selfie. It's high risk, you know.
Got the DJ set here.
We got the DJ
so
set.
Jonathan told me that he told you to get a hobby, and then like the next day you had the DJ set.
My time between thinking and action is quick. So it's like I'm like, what hobby do I like? I like going out. I like going out, and what better way to just make a party here in between meetings? I just turn on a few songs.
First question for you, Tim. What do you do for a living?
I have 2 online businesses. So we do trading education, basically same business model I'm sure you know of. But yeah, I was a trader in college. My dad's a full-time trader. And honestly, I had no idea to even start this. We had an in-person trading class for fun, my dad and I, because we were trading for, I learned maybe when I was like 20. And came home, I was in between businesses trying to figure out what I wanted to start next. Did that for fun with my dad. It had great showings in San Jose. Next thing you know, I got sucked into this whole online world, and now we're here. I work basically like 12 hours a day probably.
See this up here? It says fuck off.
Yeah.
Bro said he works 12 hours a day because everybody else fucks off.
Exactly, that's true. Or if that's sign on, it means don't come in here.
This is the big boy plaque, huh?
That's
I got a
plaque.
cute little 2 Comma Club award. it doesn't have as many. That's a big number.
It's a big number, man.
So you started the stock trading offer when?
This was probably late 2018, like December 2018.
Okay, how'd you get into it?
So dad's a full-time trader. He taught me when I was in college, and then I guess, yeah, like I was doing that in college. I would wake up at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Sometimes I'd get back from a party my senior year at like 3 a.m. So I'd be hungover at 6 a.m. But I would just chug a bunch of water, trade for like an hour and a half. At that point, I'm like good to go. I'm awake, and then I hit the gym, and then I would skip class.
That's pure degeneracy, pure degenerate trading. But
that's pure
also,
trading.
Yeah,
but not all the time. I went to school at UCLA. Standard Asian parents, I didn't get a choice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
No choice. Like if I didn't get into a good school, I probably wouldn't be here filming this video.
What books we got here?
Books, what am I reading right now? I'm super involved in the sales side, so that's what I'm reading here. Obviously, I'm involved on marketing, so we'll have, if you haven't read this book, fantastic go-to marketing book.
Real ones know that.
I'm rereading this book as well. This was a biography recommendation from a friend. And this one, Dan Martell, was on a podcast that I did with him. And I'm just reading through this as well. So,
you have a favorite book?
Favorite book ever? 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Over here.
This is like the little kid. This is the kiddie pool. You know, like, I have one of these in my crib. He just got 4 of them in the corner here. He's like, yeah, we'll put the poverty plaques in the corner.
This is a great book too. Ready, Fire, Aim. If you haven't read this, this one's money.
You read a lot, like every day, I imagine?
I probably read 4 times a week.
How many two combo? How many?
Bro. So this used to be the podcast room. So the desk out there, what you see, used to be here, and then it was a sick podcast setup.
This is fire. You got all the guests on the wall.
Then it became a DJ table.
Yeah, and I left that career behind to pursue DJing. You're gonna laugh at this in the corner.
Another one. Come here. Look at this. Look at this. Another. He just throws it in the fucking corner. This is like the perfect hook. It's like, okay, we kind of understand what he does, and he has a gazillion dollars in ClickFunnels plaques. Tim told me he's gotten in the pool 5 times, being here, what, 2.5 years?
2.5 years. I've been in this pool 5 times, right there.
It's just decoration at this point.
It is, man. I've been in this pool every day, basically. So this is the cold plunge. If you look over there in the corner, there's a sauna. You want to zoom in over there.
So you're pretty dialed with like your routine, and you have everything here. Like I'm sure you don't have to leave if you don't want to. You said you work 12 hours a day.
I work 12 hours a day. Some days like 14. Yeah, I don't leave my house. Like I don't have a car. I was telling you that earlier. So,
you just have a car on your wrist.
You
just have a supercar on your wrist. He's like, oh, should I get a supercar or should I just put one on my wrist?
Yeah. So yeah, I have a watch. I have a house, but no car.
So the work ethic thing, I'm curious about it. Is that like something that has always been instilled in you? Obviously going to UCLA, I'm sure you have to study a ton and you have to be a grinder. Was it ever like a challenge to get yourself to dedicate as much time as you need to build the business that you have?
I was probably the laziest kid in my high school, which is, I know, tough to believe, but I'll explain. I almost didn't make it to high school because going into my senior year, I found out there was a loophole where of like, I don't know, the 200, 250 school days that there are in a year, you could miss like 70 or whatever the number was. Mm-hmm. I missed 69.
You're kidding.
If I missed one more day, I would not have passed high school.
But you were like, oh, I know.
I know exactly what the game is, and I'm gonna play this game.
I love it.
And so that's what I did in high school. Horrible, like biggest procrastinator. I would start studying at like midnight for a test that's at 8 a.m. or whenever it is. I loved playing video games. Yeah, dude, I was just so lazy. And the thing with why I kept procrastinating, because I was talking to my therapist about this actually, was because I got away with it. And that's why I was never able to fix it, because I could get away with it. Because even studying at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., I'd still do better than, most kids. And so,
subtle flex.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that habit carried over to UCLA. Mm-hmm. UCLA, I didn't go to class at all. I'd show up twice a quarter, midterm and final.
Yeah.
And then same exact thing with procrastinating the essays. Dude, I remember there was one morning where I woke up, I just knew I had a final or midterm at like 8:30 a.m., but I didn't know where the class was because I've never been all quarter. So I remember just like hustling straight all-nighters, horrible, trying to find out like where this class was on campus. And that was my life. I found it.
There's something to be said about that though, like being somebody who will find loopholes and like is kind of crafty and you know what you can and can't get away with. Like that does translate to business a bit because it's just like that figure it the fuck out ability.
Exactly.
That is like, to me, that's the difference maker between the people that make it and the people that don't. Like, yes, there are people who are just so smart that no matter what they do, they're gonna be successful. But I think the majority of people, it's like, there's a baseline level of intelligence and competence. And once you reach that, the difference between somebody who makes a few mil or even just like gets stuck at 10K a month is gonna be that like grit and that tenacity to find a loophole or to get connected with the right person.
100%. I think you gotta just figure it out, make mistakes, And obviously, like I showcase some of those things. Like, sure, I probably have some level of intelligence there, but I would say when it came to business, I was not naturally good at business because I remember explicitly when I was transitioning from this in-person class to the online education program across the US, I remember being like stressed in terms of like, should I change my landing page button from blue to green because the person who sent me the template had a blue button. And I'm like, well, my company's color is green. And I remember asking the guy like, can I change it to green? You know, like, just even basic stuff like that. I was never good at business, but the principles applied where I was willing to just make mistakes, figure it out, ask questions, learn along the way. And I think that's what builds the confidence to go from 10K a month to 100K a month to $1 million a month. So here's a kitchen that I also have used 5 times myself personally. I have someone that cooks for me, a chef, but yeah, I used to cook in college.
I did too. I never cook anymore either.
Yeah, bro. No, I don't.
It's just like, why would I cook?
Right.
This is dope, bro.
Thank you, bro. This is the gym. Same principles apply. I don't leave my house. I don't have a car. So I decided to build a gym.
Are you in here every morning?
Every morning.
You're up early, right?
Yeah.
What time?
Wake up at like 6 a.m.
And then cold plunge and then gym, or?
No, 6 a.m. I'll work from like 6:15, 6:30 until 9 a.m. From 9 to 9:30, I'll like warm up, I'll stretch, because I'm old now, bro. If I don't stretch for 30 minutes and warm up, I'll break every bone in my body. 9:30, my trainer's here. We'll do a workout from 9:30 to 10:30. At 10:30, that's when I do like my sauna, my plunge, my red light therapy, shower, and I'll probably start working at like noon. Man, I used to love you. This is a shitty room.
Wow. Oh, there's another 2 combo club.
It's just, I got some clothes, I got a whiteboard. This is where I do my red light machine. And then if I want to stand during a meeting, I'll come in here and work.
Fire.
Spare bedroom.
A lot of books.
A lot of books.
Hey, zoom in on this one right here. It's like it'll be 48 Laws of Power, and then like all these business books, and it's why men love bitches.
It's like the sovereign individual, you know, like how to decide. It's like super scientific, and then just
I love it.
Yeah, there's more books in there.
That's a lot of books.
This is nothing. This is probably like 10% of my collection.
Damn.
Back home at my parents' house when I was living at home, I probably have 10 times the amount of books as you see here.
Wow.
Quit drinking.
How'd that one go?
I didn't drink for like 15 or 16 months.
Really?
In Miami.
And you were still going out actually, right?
I was going out a lot, bro, and I didn't drink.
What's that like? What's it like going out to the club and being in that environment completely sober? Because I feel like, usually I don't get hammered when I go out, but enough to like not feel like an idiot, because I feel like if I'm sober, just standing there like dancing, I'd be like, I look like a retard right now. What am I doing?
So here's the thing. The reason why I went sober, I don't have any crazy addictions, or there's no crazy story. Basically in 2021, I came here for 4 months during COVID, and it was the most insane time in my life, but too insane. Like my business dropped 50% in its revenue from when I came here for 4 months later. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I moved to New York, didn't like New York as much, came back to Miami that winter, and I was like, if I move back and I buy this place, I can't do what I did. So I went sober. And the first 3 months of going sober was the hardest thing. Like I was so awkward on dates.
Yeah.
I was, dude, going out, like it was a little awkward. If you can commit to 90 days, you get into this flow state. Like people,
I've heard people say that.
Yeah, people didn't believe that I didn't drink, who didn't know.
Yeah.
And it almost got to the point where people were so used to me not drinking. Just like a month ago, this girl was like, wait, what? You drink now? Because I haven't seen her in like a year, but the last time she saw me, I didn't drink. So like you do get into a flow state, if you just commit, I'd say, for a few months.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think alcohol can kind of be like a crutch almost at some point. If you're like, oh, I need to drink to go out, like I need to drink to feel better on a date.
Yeah.
Or even to like wind down and relax. I've never been that type of person, but like I imagine it's the same way.
Yeah, I would say that was probably my peak social skills. Now I'm like awkward again, but back then.
But then working with them, I just became kind of connected in the basketball training space. So I started working with the guys that had big personal brands. And that brought me into info. I started running all their stuff, writing all their copy, ads, emails, funnels. And then I was like, okay, I understand info. I can just work with anybody that is selling courses and coaching. So then I transitioned into like,
yeah, so copy was like your first skill. Copy and marketing, essentially.
Yeah, okay. Copy and like really generic lead gen Facebook ads. Like it was so easy to set up. Like it's an instant form, you know? Now we barely run any paid for clients just because like it's crazy how simple it can be to just get a big audience, all organic, and then launch an offer that way. I know you've gone the opposite route.
Yeah,
I'm so curious, like, why'd you start with paid and what was that like?
So we started with paid. We just didn't know how to do organic. And paid was just like, okay, well, I can just write an ad in a day, throw it online and basically get leads immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'd rather just do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. We started with Facebook ads. Actually, before we even started with paid, I was pure hustling. Like I was in San Jose, we did the trading class. So what I would do is there's this website called meetup.com. I would go to every trading meetup in San Jose, give value, and then also say I'm hosting a free...
No way.
Free live class.
Wow, that's like in-person organic.
In-person, yeah.
Like,
in-person organic, essentially. Like, not scalable. I told you, I wasn't good at business.
Yeah.
So what I did that. I would give value in like online Facebook groups as well. I would go even speak at local trading clubs, like outside of Meetup as well. And that was kind of how I built like the initial like first 2 classes, I'd say. And then friends and family as well.
Yep.
After that, I was like, okay, this isn't scalable. I got to find people in San Jose. What if I ran a Facebook ad targeting people in San Jose? And so that's what I did.
That's interesting. What? So you're just like, oh, I'll just do local area
because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what's working. And
this is like 2018?
Late 2018.
Okay.
Or this is late 2018 and then most of 2019.
Okay.
I'd say. So I would run a local Facebook ad to San Jose and we'd try a bunch of different things on the Facebook ad platform. But like I was just watching YouTube videos and it's like, okay, so that's how you run an ad. Let me just try this. You know, you make up some headline, I had 0 copy experience. And what I would do is I would say, come to our free trading class in person. That was like my angle, essentially. And so every single weekend for basically like a year, I would host a live webinar, except in person, Saturdays and Sundays. So I had no weekends for an entire year when I was like 23, 24. And at that live class for an hour, at the end of it, I would go around, hand out worksheets. If you want to learn more about our 3-day class in person, fill this out and you'll book a call with me. It wasn't a call, I was literally in person. They'd come and do a sales call with me in person. So everything was in person. And that was basically how I signed up the first 100 students.
Really? It was a high ticket?
High ticket. So the first one, the very first class I had, I sold for $1,500, a 3-day in-person class. I'm pretty sure I lost a good chunk of money in that one. I lost like $5,000.
Yeah.
Because 5 people signed up, 4 people were like family friends. So like I basically signed up 1 person. And then the next class, like you learn, right? The next class, I sold it for like $2,500. And the next class, I sold it for like, I think $3,500 or $4,000. And then 5K, and 6K eventually. So
the evolution there is crazy. So okay, you're going basically door to door info.
Yeah.
And then when did you like start to really crack paid and like get, because obviously a big chunk of getting good at paid ads is understanding the back end of it and understanding how to increase customer LTV, and it's really numbers based. So how'd you like get your feet wet with paid and like start to get good at it?
Yeah, so basically somewhere in the middle of all this time, I built up, I don't know, like 40 grand in my bank account, essentially. And I signed up for a mastermind that costed 36 grand.
Oh wow, whose was it?
Sam Evans back then. Like he was like the go-to. So paid 36 grand, I show up.
He's like, Tim, listen.
Listen, what the fuck are you doing?
You're about to learn something.
Yeah. So no, I would say that was probably one of the most pivotal moments in my business career, because we were doing like 30K a month on average, I'd say, at that point. And I went into this mastermind, and I was, of the 70 other business owners in that group, I was the lowest one, because they made us go around, say our name, say what we did, and how much you did monthly. And I was the lowest one, and I was like, fuck, what am I doing? But that one kind of like lit a fire under me, where I was like, wow, like I can do online. I just had these limiting beliefs and fears in terms of why I couldn't. I can only do in person because there were 30 other trading online education companies already. Why is someone going to go buy mine? But if I do it in person, that's my advantage. That was my philosophy, which was wrong in hindsight. So that was when I went back and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do online. So I was still running these paid classes, but I would spend a lot of time building out an online education program, building out the funnel there. And eventually in August of 2019, that's when I launched the online program. And I was just like, I got to pull the plug on this in-person thing. It was nice. It was tough because we got it to 80K a month in person. And I was like, I got to drop everything because I can't focus on both. It was too tough. I was like, I'm going to just drop all of this, go all in online, and it ended up being one of the best decisions, because 6 months later, COVID happened, and I would have had no business. So,
damn, that's crazy timing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you dive into like actually running an online education company now.
Yes.
And I imagine you're like testing a bunch of different ads, you're learning a bunch from Sam. Was it like, oh shit, you know, we got a winning ad relatively quickly and now it's just like, let's scale this thing? Or what did that process look like?
Yeah, I would say super manual as well. So in the beginning, I took all the calls in the beginning. So.
And then how much was the offer then? It was still 1,500?
No. So I got the offer up to like 6K in person. So when I launched online, the offer was like 5,800 was what I said.
Okay.
Or maybe like even 4,800, because I didn't have confidence in it. So I was like 4,800, basically 5K, and I turned the funnel on. It doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work. No booked calls. And so this is when I start micro optimizing, right? And this is when I was so in my own head, because I've never cracked the funnel before. And so that's just when I was asking people like, should I change the color of this? But in reality, you just have to look at the metrics and understand what you have to be willing to lose some money in the early days. That's what people aren't willing to do, is you will lose money, but you'll run your VSL and your funnel and your ad for 4 to 7 days. You'll see the data. I'll go back, I'll fix one part of the funnel, run it again. That part's now improved, but something else is still broken. Go back, fix it. After you do that for like 1 to 2 months, I was able to get calls booked on my calendar within KPI. So now I was like, okay, well, I just have to close them on the phone. And then they'll get into my online program. And so eventually, that's
it is
what
just
happened.
a numbers game, bro. It's like, okay, how much can we pay to get a booked call? And then if we close 30% of those, then we're profitable. It's like that simple.
It's that simple.
Were you in all the ads, by the way? Was it you or your dad? Or?
So it was me, basically. Because my dad's English isn't that good. He's an immigrant from Vietnam. So I was like, okay, I can be the face for him. It's kind of like the Alex Becker model in the past.
Yeah.
Where he was the face, but he wasn't the e-com guy. And so that was what I did. It's easy in hindsight, but you'll have to go through this process probably 50 times to learn every single metric to improve. But once you do that, there's not more metrics. You know, so
it's like test, iterate, test, iterate, test, iterate. Okay, this thing kind of works.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh wait, this system is no longer working. Now we have to switch to a webinar funnel. Now we have to add more. There's more skepticism in the market. We have to add more proof before the call. Like stuff like that. That's interesting. I mean, it's cool with paid because like it really you can get pretty scientific with it.
Yes.
Like, is that something? I imagine that's one of the things that you would have to take into account of like. What kind of messaging can we show them pre-call to increase the show up rate here? Oh, this kind of worked. Oh, if we say this on the sales call, they closed at a 10% higher rate. Like, is that how granular you were getting with it?
Yes. So like now I know all of that, but I didn't know in the early days because in the early days, there's only like 3 to 5 things that you have to do to get it to work. Now with that being said, I probably wouldn't just launch an online funnel with ads, etc., until you have proof of concept. So whether that's what I did in person, whether you do one-on-one consulting to like just get proof of results, build your MVP out, right? But once you do that and you're like, okay, people clearly love copywriting from me, right? They want to learn how to do that. I have 5 testimonials. I've been working with people for 3 to 6 months now. Like that was my advantage in ads. That's why I got ads to work because I knew exactly why people signed up for us. I knew why we were different or unique in the market. I knew what angle to take. I studied all the competitors. And then I kind of like built that into the marketing and branding. So you basically need to understand your 3 uniques, like what differentiates you. You need to understand then messaging, like what kind of ad angles works with that hand in hand. And then from there, it's those are like the key things: your offer, your branding, your product, your unique mechanism. Once you get that, you'll be in KPI. And then now when you do the 1%, 3% improvements, that's how you can scale to 8 figures a year. But to get the 7 figures a year, you just need the main 5. So. Yeah,
that's what I always say with our clients too. Like, they'll be like, oh, let's start ads before they have proof of concept or before they even started posting content. Again, it's just like, it's so easy to start making content, get some eyeballs on your stuff, and then try and validate the offer that way. Versus, like, I guess Facebook ads were relatively different in 2018 when you started, or 2019. Like, I guess it was just less saturated, or the market was less sophisticated. But now, like it's interesting because it all kind of happened at the perfect time for you. Like you went through that iteration process when ads were cheaper still even. And then you got everything dialed and it's like, okay, like we can just scale this to the moon here.
Exactly. I would say when I crack ads, I got it up to about it would fluctuate between 150 to 200K a month. Once I slowly took myself off calls and put on, I would say like 2 closers. So we were doing about 150 to 200K a month on ads.
What took you from 200 to 7 figures a month?
200 to 7 figures, dude. That was honestly like the valley of death. I went through so much pain getting to 7 figures a month. Like now it's in hindsight, like I know exactly what to do. Like if I lost my business overnight, I could do it, but you need to go from 150K a month, 200K a month to $1 million a month. You need, I would say, 5 to 7 things, and these things are big things to solve for. You need to be able to build a leadership team. You need ops and infrastructure. You need to be able to hire and recruit sales closers, essentially, because you need, I would say, 8 salespeople to do $1 million a month. You need to your marketing needs to be able to bring in 5x the amount of leads while not increasing costs. And you'll increase a little bit, right? Inevitably, but it shouldn't be some insane increase because you want to maintain as much margin as possible. And then you need to start basically like, you become a more professional business. Yeah. You're not just like a one-man show with a few closers and a VA or an assistant, right? You have to actually build out like people who can do things better than you in a specific field.
Yeah.
So.
And in that sense, like, do you have somebody that's running all your ads for you now, and you have somebody that does all your funnels, all your copy, all that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, like I haven't been inside ClickFunnels in probably 3 years. I haven't been the ads manager in a few years. I'm still involved in the sales team, but like I probably attend like one sales team meeting a week.
Yeah.
But there's a time where I didn't attend any. Yeah, there's basically someone to do anything essentially. But it is a grind from, I would say, 10 people to 30 people, which is what you need to get to like $1 million a month. So. And
so your role now is just managing everybody and making sure all the systems are moving properly?
Yeah, right now I'm working on the infrastructure. So basically I got to like the highest we did this year was like 1.7 in a month.
All paid?
All paid.
How much you spent on ads?
1.7, we probably spent like $400K that month on ads, probably.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, I'm listening to this, I'm like, of course he got all these plaques in his fucking office. So you spent $400 on ads, you made $1.7 million back.
Yeah.
How? Why?
Yeah, dude, once you, like now when I look at business, you look at it from like a top down, like bird's eye view level, where like you pull this lever and this thing increases, or you fix this fire and this thing increases. Like now it becomes a lot more scientific. Yeah. I actually think the game has gotten easier. I would say the two toughest phases are when you're just alone and you don't know what to do to get to 6 figures a month. Brutal phase.
Yeah.
Even at the 10K, 50K a month, brutal. And then going from 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month, brutal.
Yeah.
And I think it's because for me, my skill set is more on the higher level. Like I can see things and understand how to solve problems with leverage, but I'm not a good executor. Like, dude, I could barely study for tests or do essays. You know, like I'm a lazy piece of shit. And so
a lazy piece of shit that works 12 hours a day.
Well, you know what? I thought about this because I was like, how in the world could I go from being so lazy to working? And it was only because I didn't see the value in studying like random stuff.
Yep.
That was why.
Right? I've always had a horrible time trying to do things that I deemed pointless or meaningless. I'm like, how does this help me in any area of my life? But if you can see, oh, this could buy me a Richard Mille, this could buy me a house in Miami, then it's like, oh, let's work.
Exactly.
Now I have motivation.
Yeah, like you need, I just didn't get it. And because I didn't get it, I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. I'm still curious about the 400K on ads to making 1.7 in a month.
Yeah.
If you don't mind getting a bit granular with it, like what type of funnel, how many ads are you testing, how many creatives, like what's that all look like?
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing. That's what I'm working on currently. Like I have not gotten the systems built for ads and sales to the point that I want to get it to. So that's why like that was our best month, but we're probably back down to like 1.1, 1.2 a month right now. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, and you'll notice this, is when you scale your business, you'll have that like one big month, right? 300K in a month, 100K in a month. And then the next few months will be like half of that.
Yeah.
And you're like, what happened? What ends up happening is you'll push the scale. And when you do that, that's when you realize what systems you don't have that you have to go back and build so that when you push that scale again, you actually can sustain that level. So it's a constant tug of war in business between pushing the scale, a bunch of shit will break, you fix it, you push the scale again, it sustains, now you push higher.
Yeah, and when you say a bunch of stuff breaks, is that like on the fulfillment side? Is that?
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Yes, so it could be fulfillment, it could be on ads. I basically, anything that can break has broken for me. Mm-hmm. But you just learn from it and you fix it. Like it's not an issue versus it's part of the game you play. But yeah, like right now, we're probably producing, so I have two companies, two different trading education companies. We're probably producing each quarter 6 to 8 ads a brand. But like it's not.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
But it's not good enough, because if I want to get to 2 mil a month, 3 mil a month, I need to be able to double, triple that production and have everything streamlined. Mm-hmm. So that's been my biggest focus, is making sure the marketing side is sustained. But like we have a good brand name, we have a good offer.
Yeah.
That's less of my concern, because I think we just have to increase quantity there. My big concern that's really hard, that's basically taken up all my time this year, is the sales side. Like being able to bring in closers and know who exactly to look for.
Yeah.
Have an exact system to train them. Have an exact system to manage them. Have a system to build out future sales managers.
Yep.
Holding that, like sales is a grind.
It really is, bro.
That's the brutal thing.
And people don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing with our clients too that like really varies. If they have a solid closer in there, or if they have somebody in there that we think is good, and you know, we get used to a 30% close rate.
Yeah.
And then we bring somebody else in and it's at like 50 or 60. We're like, oh shit, like we've been leaving all of this money on the table for a long time.
Exactly. Or all of a sudden you have 2 closers, one person leaves, you lose half your business overnight.
Right.
So the sales side is definitely, I would say I'm spending 60% of my time there, 30% on marketing, and then 10% the rest.
It's also interesting to me that you only test what, 4 or 5 ad creatives? Is that what you said?
6 to 8 a quarter.
How? Because to me, I'm like, don't you need to be constantly testing new angles, new ads, new creatives, new copy?
You do. The benefit I have is I know, I've been in the space for like 5 years, 5-6 years. So like I know what works. I've seen enough ads that have worked for us. So like the only reason why I'm able to get away with it is because of experience, but I wouldn't recommend it. Like to get to this point, we probably filmed a bunch more in the past. But I would say probably the one thing that I've seen a lot of people, because dude, I'm running the same offer for 6 years.
Yeah.
If you look in the space, every 2 years, you have like a fly-by-night guy or someone that just scams people or gets clients for 2 years and then disappears, you know? And I would say the biggest thing I've seen in terms of why we've been able to sustain is because most people don't go through the work to become a proper leader / manager, right? Like you can get to 6 figures a month with a team of 5 to 7 people.
Yeah.
But if you want to actually build a business, you have to become someone where other people want to work for you for a long time. And like, you actually have to care about people. You have to help them grow in their careers. You have to understand how to recruit talent. And like, that's a game a lot of people in this space don't want to play.
Right. So, and your product has to be really good.
And your product has to be really good too.
You know, you can run it up, make 7 figures for a couple years, and then it's like, oh, all of this shit comes out about bad reviews, oh, this guy's a scammer, and then everything falls apart.
Exactly.
You know?
So I spent the first 2 years improving my product every single month. Like it got to the point where, like by the time I launched my online course, I went through 6 to 8 iterations of the in-person class product. And then when I got to the online course, I probably went through 4 to 5 iterations. And it doesn't mean I revamped the whole thing, but like meaningful iterations. So like if you don't spend time on product as well, especially in the early days, and obviously like now I have people who are better than me involved in a product we're actually, you know, doing a 2.0 program. Like you need people better than you to then constantly improve it after.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, why haven't you like really dove into organic content and really tried to crack organic as well? But after talking to you, I'm like, okay, why would you? If you can profitably spend $1 on Facebook and make 2 or 3 back, like why would you waste time making a bunch of content and like trying to get eyeballs organically? Like it's a predictable system rather than basically pulling a slot machine.
Yeah, exactly. It's never been in the wheelhouse. I would say I never explored it. Now I am, because I want to launch a new business. So I'm going to launch like a B2B offer.
I was going to say, like, your expertise is perfect for the majority of my clients, because, and even for me, like working with my clients, because almost all of their businesses have been built organically. Post TikTok, post YouTube, post Instagram, and you can get to 500, 600, 700K a month doing so. But to get to past $1 million a month, typically, unless you have a huge personal brand, you need to crack paid.
Yeah, you do. You need both.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is nowadays you just need both. Like even for me on my side, the paid ad side, it's not as efficient as it used to be a few years ago, right? So like even for us, we're now starting to work on the organic side to crack. But I agree with you. Like in today's day and age, it's more competitive, and you have to be willing to do both types of marketing.
Yeah.
So
if you were starting an info product from scratch in 2024, what steps are you taking to get it up and running and then be in a position where you can start to test paid ads, you can start to scale and eventually get to 7 figures a month?
Yeah, I would say if I was starting today from scratch, I would need, first off, some skill set that I'm better at than most people, like 90% of people. So like, let's say you took everything away from me tomorrow, I'm better at scaling offers than most people, right? So like if I wanted to do a B2B offer tomorrow, I would do the same exact principles that I did early on. I would get 5, 10, 15, 20 one-on-one clients, get them results, insane results, ask for testimonials, which people will give if you get them insane results.
Yep.
After that, and by working with people, I will now understand why people are willing to pay me, what they liked about what I solved for them. So now I understand what my brand is, what my unique mechanism is, and how I want to kind of frame that before I launch a funnel. Now you might, ask like, okay, well, how are you going to get 5, 10, 15, 20 clients? Same exact thing. What did I do in the early days for trading? You start with friends and family for your network, right? Obviously, I'm blessed to have a bigger business owner network now, but like even if I didn't have that, like think about how much I just grinded in the early days for the trading side and just showed up. And
you could hop in Facebook groups,
groups, Twitter,
and obviously content as well.
Content, right? Like exactly. You could post YouTube videos and shorts giving value, and you'll get your first 5 clients just by doing that with the algorithm nowadays. So you just have to be willing to hustle to get your first 5. And then after that, you can either continue doing that to refine your uniqueness even more. But basically, once you have enough clients, you're going to realize what your offer is. And then that's when you build out, that's when I would build out like the ads, the VSL again, et cetera.
Yep. So what kind of funnel would you start with? Would it be an application funnel? Would you run a webinar, VSL?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of high ticket just because that's what I know very well. Like, we have the sales scripts. Like I know how to develop sales scripts, how to hire closers, recruit them, manage them, et cetera. So because I have that skill set, I would rather have less people in my community, but people who are more willing to be committed, who are better customers and clienteles, because I'd rather have one person paying me $8K than 8 people paying me $1,000.
Right.
So.
Right. And so would that look like a 10-minute VSL, or would that be a 30-minute webinar, or what would that actual model look like?
So interesting enough, my VSL length for the most part, even since the early days, I haven't really had to change from like a VSL to webinar or anything. It's a 45-minute VSL. And most people, like, there's always some new fad from what I've seen, right? There's every year it's like, do a 5-minute VSL, do a 10-minute VSL. Like the 45-minute VSL has never broken for me, so I'm not going to change it.
That's cool. That's very interesting because it makes sense too, especially with like cold, because you need to build all of that trust, and you're not going to do that in a 5 or 10 minute video.
Exactly. Maybe I would consider a 10-minute VSL if I had a strong organic presence.
Exactly.
And that's easier to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to understand why you're doing something versus just listening and copying what others are doing, but like you don't have that context. You're gonna just have to bang your head on a wall for years on end.
Yeah.
And what dictates how you get, whether or not you plateau at 50K a month, 100K a month, $1 million a month. If you can get to 100K a month, you're probably smart enough to get to $1 million a month.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. The only difference is how willing are you to go through that pain. So it's like, to me, it's like, it's a character development thing. Like what I said, from a leadership perspective, you obviously need a good product.
Yep.
But it's also just your pain tolerance. Like scale, there's a point in time in 2022 where my business got down to like, I don't know, just 2 years ago, I got down to like a few $100K left in my bank account. And I probably had 2 months of runway left before I would go out of business. Everything. 2 years ago. And I was like, if I'm gonna go out and lose everything, I'm gonna go out and die trying.
I'm gonna go out swinging.
I'm gonna go out swinging. So that's what I did. I locked in for 2 months, an insane 2 months, and I turn around the business. But I would say it's stuff like that. Like there's always gonna be these things that come from left field and hit you, and it's how willing are you to do it. And surprisingly, you would be surprised, most people are not willing to do that, even if they're smarter than you, etc. So it's not the smartest person that gets to $1 million a month, because that smart person might get to 100K a month and they're like, honestly, this is nice. Like, life is good.
Right. And then it's like, okay, do I want to go through the pain? And it's the change in habit that I think creates the pain. It's like, okay, I can coast at 100K a month, and you know, I make a couple TikToks a week or a couple YouTube videos a week. And you know, that's everything. That's it.
That's it.
But if you want to keep scaling, then you have to dive into paid. That requires more time, energy, and money. So do you want to make that sacrifice? It's interesting.
And also, I think building maturity and self-awareness. Because you'll have people who do a few $100K a month who want to get to $1 million a month, yet they don't realize they're the bottleneck to get to $1 million a month. You know, and it's really understanding and being like, are you even willing to go through that pain to seek truth in terms of how people perceive you, how your employees perceive you, and what you have to do to become a better leader? Stuff like that, like people just aren't willing to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. Okay, last question for you. I know you mentioned you have the B2B consulting offer starting. So with that, and then with the stock training offer, what's next for you? Is this like, do you think you could eventually sell the info? Like, is that because the way you do it is interesting. I think if it's totally based organically, obviously it's not something you can sell. But is that something that's like in the future for you? And then on the B2B side, what are your plans there?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of selling, the biggest thing left for me to do to make it sellable is to remove myself from the marketing of one of the brands I have, because I'm the spokesperson for my dad. And so that's in progress. That will probably take like 9 months.
Well, how do you do that? What's that look like?
Yeah, so the progress there to remove yourself from the ads is it's a progression. And so, for example, I have to essentially start filming with the person who's going to be the future of the brand. And it's going to be basically like one of our star students who works alongside my dad on a daily basis in our community. And he's perfect for it, etc. But now it's like, okay, next time I go and film ads, I'll probably film ads and then he'll watch me. And then I'll have him, or maybe I even have him film a couple ads while I'm there. And then we'll test his ads, see how they do, give him feedback, have him film more ads. And eventually you'll get to a point where you can get their ads to do just as well as yours. And once that happens, that's when I can phase out of my ads, essentially. But I would like to have basically this holding company model where I'm not the CEO of any of my brands. So I would like to have a CEO for my first trading offer. I would like to have a CEO for my second trading offer, or general manager, however you want to call it. And then same thing for this B2B side. I don't want to be the CEO of it, but I can pass on leads from my personal brands and be involved on like the fulfillment and the product, etc. But I know my strength is not in running the day-to-day versus playing the higher level game.
Right. Okay, so last thing we're gonna do here, Tim is gonna give me his Richard Mille as a gift.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna leave because I have work to do, but I hope you guys have liked the video. Tim, where can they find you online if they wanna follow?
At Timothy Luong on Instagram, and I don't know my YouTube handle, but if you type in the same exact name.
I'll put it in the description as well.
Exactly.
By the way, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe, and if you guys really fuck with this video and you want to learn more about Tim, we were thinking about doing a video that's like what it's like living in Miami as a young entrepreneur. So if you guys run up the likes here, we'll get that done for you.
Thanks for coming back, everybody. Yeah.